Hi, I'm Mariana Fernandez. I'm a writer and curator, and I'm going to be talking about Tania Bruguera's Justicia Poética, or Poetic Justice. In the 1980s, Bruguera created performances that required very intense acts of physical endurance on her part. And then in the 2000s, she transitions to what she calls arte de conducta, or behavior art, which shifts the responsibility onto the viewer to realize the social and political implications of her work. In its original installation for the 2003 Istanbul Biennial, the work was installed down a long corridor where visitors walk through this seemingly infinite number of tea bags, interspersed with tiny LCD screens showing archival news footage. There's a really sharp contrast, I think, between the handmade, the work is all hand-sewn, and then the technological aspects of these very sophisticated LCD screens, especially for 2003 when the work was made. From afar, it looks almost like a linen canvas, and when you approach the work, you can see that it's tea bags that they look like they're hardened, but they're actually incredibly fragile. The brownness has myriad implications to earth, to skin tone, to burlap. Tea was adopted by the British Empire from China through the importation of tea plants from South and Southeast Asia, and then distributed back in India in the form of this sophisticated foreign cultural import. Bruguera is thinking about the endless circulation and repackaging and resignification of cultural goods. Over 20 years after the piece was made, we're still living in a time of intense labor precarity. Through this very tender poetic piece, Bruguera invites us to consume perhaps more responsibly. She invites us to think about forms of labor that so often are made invisible in our daily lives. As someone from Mexico who lived in the US for a little under 10 years, this is something I experienced vividly, right? This co-optation and then redistribution of various forms of culture, of music, of holidays, of food, especially in New York with its huge migrant population. And I think we rarely, if at all, think about the violence involved in these forms of transference. I think there's also an element of introspection and that you can imagine in her own making of the work. This intense process of not only sewing the tea bags, but letting them seep, letting them change color. There's almost like a meditativeness to it, a repetitiveness to it that situates the work within this lineage of like minimalism and task-based performance that here is just so clearly implicated in social and political context. And the merging of those two worlds, I think, is very beautiful.